Hey guys, welcome to another review for 11/22/63. Before I begin the review for Happy Birthday Lee Harvey Oswald, I need to make a bit of an addendum because all I talked about on the previous review, I forgot one of the staples of the way that I review shows on YouTube. And that is basically giving the previous episode a review. So, with everything that I said about the previous episode, my letter grade for that said episode would have to be an A minus. Okay, with that out of the way, there's only one thing that I can say. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to my review for 11/22/63, episode 6. Happy Birthday Lee Harvey Oswald. This episode was written by Bridget Carpenter, the showrunner herself, and directed by John David Coles. This episode, interestingly enough, takes place 6 months after the events of the previous episode. For me, actually, that was a sort of welcomed, advance in the story. Although, I have to say that I should have been expecting it. I mean, only with 10 episodes, I should have known better that there wasn't going to be that the episodes that they had remaining really had to focus on the central storyline, not on the fact that previously on 11/22/63, oh shit, I'm in love with somebody from the future. Oh my god, what the hell am I gonna do? Which I think would have been Sadie's reaction. On the opposite note, with Jake really seeming to, fit into the past, Lee Harvey Oswald's world is in upheaval. The episode does start off with him applying for a job at the famous book suppository. So, throughout this episode, we see the characters that we know and love really, sort of go down the path that history has designated for them, but but here and there they sort of deviate from that path that we're all familiar with because of Jake's presence and because of what Jake and Bill have done to the timeline so far. That brings me to my favorite part of this episode, and that is the complete dismantling of Jake and Bill's relationship. Over obviously the love of Marina, Lee Harvey Oswald's wife. As a matter of fact, as I previously mentioned, Lee's world is in upheaval, and Marina is staying with her sister. When Lee goes to see her, we discover that she's pregnant. But when when Lee tries to impress Marina, telling her everything that he's done to improve himself, he says a line where Marina says, "Do you love me?" And Lee pauses for a moment and he says, "We're married. Of course I love you, and I love whoever this is." So, hint, hint. Apparently, in the 6 months, Marina got knocked up by someone. And who could that someone be? I don't know. You can figure it out yourself. Of course, if you've been watching the show, it's not that it's not that freaking hard to figure out. But I've been trying to sort of be light on the on the spoilers. I'd like to address some of my theories and some of my speculation as to how certain storylines having to do with certain characters was going to work out. And the first one that I would like to address is the illness that was hinted at in previous episodes that Miss Mimi had. And in this episode, her storyline is seemingly wrapped up. It turns out that she has cancer, and basically for anyone who has cancer, they start looking at how special life is and how precious it is. And in this episode, it is brought to the forefront of the Jake and Sadie relationship that it's all sunshine and roses. But Jake is kind of stalling with making Sadie an honest woman, in the words of Deke. Now, playing into that, the seeds of a possible Miss Mimi and Deke relationship is hinted at, and I'm happy to say that it is definitely paid off in a big way. But obviously, due to the time that the story is taking place in, Miss Mimi has a great line in the episode that really sums it up nicely, and I'll try not to do it. Not to butcher it, but I'm probably going to butcher it. The line reads something like, "I have spent my entire life standing next to Deke, but I've never really been with him." So I thought that was a tremendous line, and it really summed up the relationship that was hinted at, but we never really got to see a lot of in this series. Another thing, another thing that I would like to address is something that I mentioned in the previous episode about slow burning shows. That sometimes shows that do the slow burn, when you get to the end, you realize that the slow burn wasn't necessary, and on the other hand, there are some shows out there, like Game of Thrones or any show on Stars, that have a slow burn that at first, when you're watching the slow burn episodes, you're like, why aren't you speeding up? Why aren't you speeding up? And eventually, when you get to the end, you understand why these episodes leading up to the overall conclusion were necessary. And I'm happy to say that 11/22/63 is one of those episodes, vis-a-vis a Game of Thrones or vis-a-vis a Outlander, because I am absolutely loving the slow burn. Everything that Jake's quote unquote time aficionado Al has said is basically coming through, vis-a-vis being every time that Jake does something to, in an effort to prevent something else from happening, as Al so eloquently put it, or he did not so eloquently put it, the future fucks back, or something fucks back, hinting at that this overwhelming dark force doesn't want to be changed. And to my pleasure, sort of the physical manifestation. Sorry, I spit on you guys there. Sort of the physical manifestation of the past not wanting to be changed. Is that weird reporter guy in a trench coat. he shows up countless times, in this episode, and each time it's when Jake is dealing with a specific trauma, and just when he thinks, he has prevented all of the shit that can possibly screw up the original reason that he was there for, boom, this Grim Reaper of the past come back, shows up to throw a monkey in the works. So I thoroughly loved that aspect. Wrapping up now, like last time, there isn't anything really that I didn't like about this episode. I guess if I had to point something out, was the way that Jake reacted to the way that Bill sort of got sucked in to the world of Lee Harvey Oswald as a result of falling in love with his wife. To me, it was like Jake sort of didn't understand Bill's reasoning for falling in love with Marina in the first place. To me, I kind of sided with Bill at first, but then I didn't. Bill was, Bill as a character, he's smart, but he's far from the sharpest tool in the shed. But his his violent turn in the episode was just phenomenal. It was great, and I'm really I'm really upset to see Bill go, and I'm really at this point I'm really feeling for Jake, and I'm wondering if he's gonna make it out of the future alive. Period. Not stop the assassination, but make it out of the future alive. All right, guys. Final thoughts. I thought this episode was brilliantly written by the showrunner herself. Again, Bridget Carpenter as well. On the opposite hand, brilliantly directed. All right, guys. Well, that does it for my review of 11/22/63, episode 6. Happy birthday, Lee Harvey Oswald. If you like this video, if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor of liking, and if you want to see more TV reviews from me in the future, if you wouldn't mind, again, hitting that subscribe button down below. But if you want to talk to me about TV shows, movies in general, production, anything to do with entertainment, as long as it isn't reality TV, because I absolutely hate that and I think it's trash and I can't stand it. At the end of this video, you'll be able to see my Twitter handle. So come follow me there and talk this show or any up-and-coming show, and I will be more than happy to discuss it with you guys. But as I often say, thank you for watching, and I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.